Yo, what's going on, E7 fam? Pat here, back with another how to play video, and in this one we'll be talking about the character that can give Barry Allen a run for his money. I'm of course talking about Ran. As with all of my how to play videos, I'll be going super in depth and covering almost everything you could want to know about the character, including things like stats, skills, possible endgame equipment builds for you to try out, things of that nature, all the stuff you've come to expect from my how to play videos. If you do enjoy this style of content and you think it'll help somebody out like a friend or a guildmate, please consider sharing it. Would be super appreciated. With the introduction out of the way, let's move right on to Ran's stats. Ran is an ice thief of the Aries zodiac symbol. He shares a stat line with Chiron. Taking a look at his stats, he has 1,119 attack, 483 defense, 5,380 health, 129 base speed, 23% critical hit chance, 150% critical hit damage, and no effectiveness or effect resistance. Overall, Ran has average to slightly below average stats in most categories except for one. That whopping 129 base speed ties him as the fastest character in all of Ran.exe. And when you see his skills in the very next section, you're going to realize how deadly he actually is having 129 base speed. As a bit of trivia before moving on to the skill section, in the English dub of Ran.exe, Ran was voiced by Billy Kometz, who unfortunately passed away last year. I've talked about this subject at length in my Ran.exe year in review video for 2022, so if you haven't seen that, consider checking it out. You may have heard his voice as Josuke from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4 Diamond is Unbreakable, as well as Naofumi from the English dub of The Rising of the Shield Hero. In the Japanese dub of Ran.exe, however, Ran is voiced by Nobuyuki Hiyama, who you may recognize as Hiei from the classic anime Yu Yu Hakusho, as well as the voice of Link in most of the older Legend of Zelda video games.
I always give my all.
Ran's S1 is Tempest. It has a 0.9x attack multiplier, as well as a 0.075% self-speed multiplier. This move also has 20% defense penetration rate.
How should we do this?
Unsurprisingly, the fastest character in the game also has speed multipliers on the S1. And despite that, the character really doesn't do a whole heck of a lot of damage when you at least look at it on paper. The multipliers really aren't the best. They're slightly below average for an S1. However, that 20% defense penetration rate really does make up for it. And depending on the build and the artifact, Tempest can do a surprising amount of damage. Ran's S2 is Mental Focus. You acquire 2 souls upon use, and it has a 4 to 5 turn cooldown depending on Malagora. It is a non-attack skill that grants immunity to all allies for 2 turns before increasing the attack of Ran for 2 turns. If that wasn't enough, as always, it seems like it's going to grant an extra turn. That just seems to always be the case with a lot of skills anymore in Ran.exe.
I'll show you the path to victory. I'll take down anyone who interferes with me.
The biggest thing to note about Mental Focus is you'd expect it to just be a standard setup skill because it gives Ran attack in order for him to use his big S3, which we'll talk about next. But the immunity is actually really relevant on this character because you can use it to essentially block out specific things you're worried about, like, for example, an Astral Guide counter from Palladus on Abyssal Crown. The immunity that your team gets from Mental Focus completely denies that line of play, so they really thought about what would counter a fast character like Ran and kind of gave him some kind of precautionary measure, some kind of way to actually mitigate that downside of him needing a setup skill. On top of that, this is a 2-turn immunity skill, which I traditionally say is very strong in these videos. 1-turn immunity is pretty easy to blow through. Not all the time are you going to be able to get through 2-turn immunity. 2 turns is kind of the sweet spot where it becomes a little bit more difficult. When you consider Ran is 129 base speed, the fastest character in the game, that means that he is technically the fastest immunity drainer in the entire game. So it is possible to draft Ran for no other purpose than to be blazing fast and throw up Mental Focus because you know it will deny an entire game plan in PvP. Ran's S3 is his signature skill, Instant Blade. You acquire 2 souls upon use, and has a 4 to 5 turn cooldown depending on Malagora. It is an AoE attack that dispels 2 buffs from all enemies. It then has an 80 to 100% chance depending on Malagora to inflict stigma on all enemies for 2 turns. Additionally, it has a 65 to 85% chance depending on Malagora to defense break all enemies for 2 turns. As if all that wasn't enough, the move also grants a skill modifier once to Ran, so that way he can't be hard countered by characters like, say, Green Rhino. Are you ready? Instant Blade is the real money maker on Ran. He's incredibly fast, and this is one of the best spells in the entire game. It removes the immunity that
When it comes to Mulligora priority,
Alert. Virus infection detected. Proposal. Administer vaccine immediately. Alert. Virus contamination rate up to 16%. Malfunction detected in NFCS circuit. Alert. Virus contamination rate up to 21%.
Remove the contamination and reset.
Analysis. Virus is transforming and progressing its own algorithm with abnormal speed. Removal will be difficult. Alert. Virus contamination rate up to 32%. Malfunction detected in visual processing system. Alert. Virus contamination rate up to 57%. Malfunction detected in FFCS circuit. Alert. Virus contamination rate 70%. Infiltrating system protected region. Alert. Virus contamination rate 90%. Alert. Unusual heat generation in central nervous system. Internal combustion imminent.